Hey guys, it's Paddy just jumping on before the episode starts to say a couple things. First of all, you're so welcome. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. We had a lot of fun recording it and went way longer than we expected to. So you're in for a treat, hopefully. But I just wanted to say that this is the first time I've used two cameras and a different microphone setup. So I'm using this microphone on myself, and because of that, then with the camera that it's plugged into, then it starts picking up a little bit of the audio from Declan and Peter. So if the audio sounds kind of weird at times, then that's why. So I apologize. I was also going to cut between different camera angles, but I'm one person. That's a lot of work for an hour and a half episode. So I'm just going to stick with what you're about to see if you are watching, and if you're listening, then you don't have to worry about that. But who knows where this will go with production value as we continue. But enjoy the episode, guys, and please subscribe and like and comment and all that kind of stuff. All right, enjoy the episode.
Well, in the first season, didn't they?
Yeah,
there was loads of different.
There was loads of different versions. Yeah.
But that's like the multiverse in general just doesn't work as a storytelling device because stakes are just gone, because it's like
I know
that.
you can bring
just be
people,
oh well, then like it's fine because now we can get the other version of Magneto I wanted. You know? So it's like, it doesn't matter. Nothing means anything.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's why I chose to go as a time traveling wizard for this campaign, because I knew Patrick would have to implement some sort of like multiverse shenanigans.
I'll never die. Yeah. Hey, Paddy.
Hey guys.
How you doing?
So good.
Are we sponsored by Pringles? Is Pringles in the shot?
Sponsored? No, it's not in the shot.
Okay.
It is in the shot.
Okay. Are we sponsored?
Not sponsored, but shout out.
Shout out Pringles.
So I don't know if you know the rules of this podcast, Declan, but anytime you want to shout out anyone or anything, do it.
Just shout them out.
Okay.
Anyone gets a shout out.
You want to start? You want to start with anything or anyone right now?
Anyone.
Shout out anyone.
Okay. Shout out.
You know who you are.
All right.
I keep forgetting there's a camera there.
There's a camera. Okay. That's your guys' camera.
Okay.
You have a podcast right now?
Yeah.
Where's my McDonald's?
I'll get it for you.
Shout out McDonald's, guys.
Shout out McDonald's.
Ronald McDonald, shout out.
You want your Coke?
Ray Kroc.
Are you going to do it?
Shout out.
What?
Shout out Ray Kroc.
Is it for me?
Was it?
Oh, awesome.
Ray
okay,
Kroc?
good.
I think that's what it was. Ray Kroc was like the founder.
Oh,
shout out Michael Keaton that played as Ray Kroc in The Founder.
Oh, wait. So the guy who... Wait, but like... Sorry, Ray Kroc had nothing... I thought you were shouting out because he was wearing Crocs.
Nope.
Oh.
No, I don't know who made Crocs.
But maybe it's the same guy.
Could you imagine if the guy who made McDonald's... No, because Ray Kroc didn't found
McDonald's. He didn't make McDonald's, no. That
McDonald's was a cafe back in the 1950s, and Ray Kroc just, I don't know, he invested into it, started making cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
And,
I've seen clips from the movie.
I haven't seen the movie.
It feels like such a YouTube Shorts movie. Yeah. It's just like... it'll come up and I'll be like, oh, cool. And then, like, a minute goes by and I'm like, all right, cool. And then I just go on to brain rot.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, shout-outs will come whenever I
feel like
it.
As I said,
I get it right away.
The thing is, just like, I might not shout out anyone, and I might just, like, come up with a chain of shout-outs with any of these related people. Like I did there, like, the founder. Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Shout out Tim Burton, who cast Michael Keaton as Batman.
Just do a 5 degrees of separation. Just shout outs. Yeah. Okay.
Hello everybody. Welcome to Consistently Inconsistent. Looking at that camera right now. Welcome everyone to Consistently Inconsistent.
And if you're listening, I'm looking at you as well on Spotify.
Listeners, viewers.
I see
we got
you.
both.
We got them all.
Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts,
wherever
maybe.
You get your podcast.
Wherever you find it.
Yeah.
Any podcatcher? Is that what they're?
Yeah. I hear your man on What Went Wrong. Shout out What Went Wrong. What a great podcast.
Great podcast.
He started calling them
podcatchers.
But he also, like, he started doing primer episodes.
Yeah.
And then in his most recent one, he called it a primer.
A primer, yeah.
And I'm like...
I was uncomfortable.
I was very uncomfortable.
Didn't like that
Chris Winterbauer, if you're watching, can you tell us why you call it a primer and not a primer? Because surely you're...
Because he called it multiple times.
Yeah, and you're priming people for something.
Don't be priming people. Don't prim.
I don't like that you're priming me, Chris Winterbauer. Yeah. But shout out you. I love your podcast.
Love it.
And I'd love to be a guest.
Lizzie Bassett,
the people's host.
Have you listened to it?
No,
you got
on the car on the way over.
You, I think you'd really like it.
Yeah. Okay. Stop the free promotion. That's what our agent saying.
Okay, so introductions. My name is Patrick.
Hey, Patrick.
Your name
My
is
name's Peter.
and new host, new guest.
I'm a guest / host, which makes
Guest
me a
host.
ghost.
Is,
New ghost.
is
Hello, I'm Declan.
Yay! Declan's on the
Declan.
pod.
Declan is a good friend of mine. We go way back to nearly the dawn of me being in Ireland.
True.
Even further back than young Peter here. Declan is like a brother to me. So is Peter. But Declan's whole family is like
I can
basically.
just leave and you can say all you want.
Yeah.
And then
My whole
back.
family is like a 1/5-piece brother to you.
Yeah. They are like a bit like my Irish family.
Yeah.
And he loves movies.
I do.
He used to know all the heights of actors and actresses. Yeah.
I can't remember them
And
anymore.
then we were just talking about.
and then he went to college.
Yeah. Oh, you're in.
Then I went to college and I sold out.
Forgot.
Yeah. No, you just replaced all the information.
Yeah.
But this is actually great that we're already talking about movies because, believe it or not, movies are going to be the topic. And this is why, Declan, I want you to be the quasi-host of today's episode because I don't know if you've looked at this, but Declan told me a while ago that the Vatican has a list of, what is it? Just a list of...
So it's the Vatican made a film. Now, from what I've heard, is there's two different lists, and I think one of them has been modernized because I think in 1995, so this is when would have been when John Paul II was the Pope, he released a list of 45 essential like Catholic films, but they're not
that uphold Catholic values.
They uphold Catholic values. So I think they're split into three groups.
It's not
of
like
15.
it's a Catholic, right? Okay.
And I can't remember I think one of them focuses on faith, one of them is like, so I can't exactly remember what it is. It was earlier this year when I started looking into it, but an awful lot of them. So like I think they made the list in 1995. They go as far back as like the 1920s, so a lot of them are even silent films. And the further back you go, a lot of the films like would have been made on saints. A lot of them would have been based on the scriptures.
Because it's what people knew.
Right, exactly. It's what people knew, and it sold really well back then. Like people loved going to see films based on anything religious, really.
It's a big reason why Ben-Hur did so well.
But you also had like the Ten Commandments as well.
A
lot of
which
was,
same actor.
Yeah, same actor.
Yeah.
And I think it was the highest grossing movie when it came out.
Probably,
I think so. Yeah.
They talk about this on When We're Wrong.
So I actually how I discovered this list. No, I discovered the list, and I actually listened to another podcast of three Catholic guys, one of which was a film. Yeah, exactly.
Wait, what?
This is not a first, Patrick.
Us versus them. That's okay.
No,
doesn't have to be a first. Our conversation's going to be way better.
Yeah, we're going to go out there. Yeah, I hope anyway. But one of them, as far as I know, one of them was a filmmaker, and two of them were just very knowledgeable of films, and like their knowledge of films was quite impressive. Like they knew an awful lot.
Yeah. But they've made a more modern version.
Well, So what they did in the podcast was they went through the list. They made the podcast after watching all 45 films.
Oh gosh, well.
And I think they said their whole podcast was like a build up to this moment. Also, sorry, shout out Criteria Catholic Film Podcast. I think that was the name of it. It was Criteria. I don't know if it's Catholic Film Podcast.
Not to be confused with the Criterion Collection.
Not confused with shout out Criterion Closet. But yeah, so that's the podcast to listen to. They watched these films beforehand. I think it took them at least a year because there's 45.
Yeah, 45.
And some of them, one of which is a series of Polish films known as the Decalogue, which is really 10 films.
Yeah,
but it's considered one.
I have it as a browser. Okay, the mic is gone,
films,
but
I actually watched them all earlier this year, and they're something.
Seems like a slog.
It is a slog, all right, but
a good slog.
Yeah, a good slog.
Okay.
So
it's like a slog through deep snow, but you've got snowshoes.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So
thanks,
what they did was they talked about the 45 films. They said what they take out, but also what they put in, even prior to 1995.
Okay.
So how they should have edited back in 1995, and then post 1995. What could have gone in, because there's been a lot of films that uphold,
And tell me, have they made a letterboxed list? Like, could we? Because basically, what I want to do in this episode is, because you've seen the list and you've listened to this podcast, and have you seen the list?
No, this is my first time hearing about it.
Yeah, so I have not seen the list. I've been waiting to do a blind reaction to the list. So I want us to have a blind reaction to the list,
Nice.
and then if there is a list that your boys in the other podcast have made, then maybe we could look at like what films they've
What we
added,
think.
Sure.
and then respond to it, like almost do like a tier list.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
fight them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we could disagree maybe if we think
Discourse is
necessary.
very welcome in this podcast.
so welcome.
Welcome.
So what do you think of that, Declan? That's why you're the quasi host, is because you've
I think
seen
so,
it. You're gonna lead
Yeah.
up to a degree of like, here's what the list is, and
Okay.
help us blind react to it.
I have not seen the 45 films.
That's okay.
Preface.
That's
I
okay.
I've seen a good few films on the list,
Uh-huh.
and even when I looked at the list, there's like certain films on there. I'm just kind of like
Jumping out at you.
jumping out at me. It's just like yes, obviously you put that one in.
Yeah.
But there's also certain films just like, why did that go in?
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Okay.
I feel like we'll do a follow-up episode maybe someday where after we've watched all
Yeah.
of
All
them,
45.
not just all 45, but whatever the
All
criteria.
Yeah.
Catholic Film Club, is
Yeah.
that what it's called?
It's I can't remember the name of. I think it's just the Vatican film list. Like if you go to Wikipedia and you look it up.
Well, I don't want to look it up. I want you to look it up so that we
Okay, I'll
can
look it
blind react to it. Yeah. Do you have your phone?
I do.
Okay, sweet.
You know what we didn't say at the top of the episode?
What?
The name of the podcast.
Oh yeah, welcome to consistently.
Consistently
Sorry.
Inconsistent. I said it.
Consistently inconsistent.
Yeah.
Declan said it.
It's we've got a sign now.
All right. Okay.
Oh, production
Yeah.
value. Sorry,
Shout
Paddy.
out to Michaela. Michaela got me and Eva that sign for our old house whenever Eva and I did one of our first episodes, and she was like, "Oh, you guys have just a blank wall behind you."
Good for her.
Yeah, so shout out to Michaela.
Yeah, shout out to
She's a
Michaela.
goat.
Yeah.
Not
you
an
can-
actual
You can
goat.
actually introduce the show now.
Welcome to Consistently Inconsistent. About 20 minutes into recording the
Yeah,
episode.
because that's just how we roll.
It's actually not. It's
45.
13 minutes. Well, okay, 13. I don't know how far into the episode. Maybe 10.
Who knows these days?
Nobody knows.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're all still listening.
And or watching.
Well, like in the latest Mission Impossible and like the last couple Mission Impossibles, they don't show the title card until like about 20 minutes into the movie. So we're just like following in
Some movies do that now.
the Christopher McQuarrie, Tom Cruise format.
Apparently, Tom Cruise is a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I was reading a list of different actors that have worked with Tom Cruise before. And the list of people had nothing to say but nice things about him. Like there was this one guy that worked with him, and the guy like came into the set and saw Tom Cruise writing with this big pen, and so he made a joke about the pen, and then Tom Cruise was like, "Oh, it's like a $500 pen," and he was like, "Oh my gosh," and he was like, "Write with it." And he's like, "No, I don't need to. I know what a pen feels like." And he's like, "No, write with it." So then he wrote with it. He's like, "This is like an angel gliding through the air. Like this is the nicest." So then Tom Cruise got him one.
Aw.
And then Tom Cruise saw him writing with a pen that wasn't the one that he got him. He's like, "Where's the pen, bro?" And the guy was like, "Oh, it's like I'm putting this on my mantelpiece. Like this is like the best pen story of all time. I'm not gonna use this pen. Like if I lose it, like people lose pens all the time. It's a $500 pen." And so then he could see that Tom Cruise was like a little bit disheartened by it for the rest of the day. And then a couple days later, Tom Cruise assistant comes back with another one, and it's just like, use the damn pen.
Just write it. I imagine Tom Cruise. Have you ever seen Arrested Development?
No.
There's like a running bit in it where like when one of them gets sad, they do like there's like a really sad piano music plays, and they like drop their head and they just like shuffle their feet and they walk like a really sad like Charlie Brown walk.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so I just imagine that's what Tom Cruise did.
Yeah,
after
walked
that.
away.
He
Yeah,
just walked away, just
sad
like,
Charlie Brown. Yeah, that's fair.
Cool. I was
Cool.
going to say movie fact about Tom Cruise, but now because we both listen to the same podcast, I can't tell
I
you
know.
any movie facts because we're
Well,
just going
what?
to know them about.
What's this one?
Patrick Bateman, when what's his name? Who played him? Christian Bale was preparing for him. He based him off Tom Cruise
Okay.
in
Eyes
a
Wide
few
Shut.
things, but Eyes Wide Shut mainly.
Okay.
Which makes sense because he was insane in Eyes Wide Shut because of Stanley Kubrick.
I haven't listened to all the
Have
episodes.
you seen
of
Eyes Wide
Long
Shut?
Walk,
No.
I would not recommend it from a Catholic upbringing, but it's
So just segueing into the episode, that's not going to be on
right.
the list.
No, it's not. As far as I know. Well, first of all, it came out after 1995,
But you wouldn't add it up.
but I don't think anyone would add this to the unless you want to like add films that like anything a Catholic shouldn't do.
You know the movie Jerry Maguire?
Yes,
Also
I haven't
with Tom
seen
Cruise, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apparently, Catholic or not? Sorry, not Catholics. There's a Christian guy, John Eldridge. Shout out to John Eldridge. Shout out to Wild at Heart, who really likes the movie and uses it in some of his talks, and thinks that it's really good in terms of like wounds of a father and stuff like that.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. But
I mean, I just know the classic lines from it. Like, it has a lot of classic lines.
yeah,
So many
I love-
classic
You got me
lines.
on the low, show me the money. It's the movie.
I'm Tom Cruise. Wah, wah, wah.
It's the movie in the Lego Batman movie that he watches and he laughs at. It's the one.
No way.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
like she's like, you complete me. And it
He just starts bursting out loud.
That's funny. That's funny.
That is a great film. Yeah.
Also, viewers, if I'm friggin' picking on my face the entire time, my whole face is peeling now.
Yeah.
And I can feel it, and I can see it, especially my nose and my peripheral. So apologies for covering my attractive looks.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
All right,
what
Declan,
people
get up the
would click
list.
for.
Okay, I'm gonna get the list.
We're putting you on the thumbnail.
I wish we had
We should
you know how Joe Rogan.
That's what I was
or
gonna
like-
say. We
yeah.
need a producer guy off.
Yeah.
Can Eva be our producer?
Eva.
Eva,
Be
can
our
you pull
Jamie.
up? Can you pull up the
Yeah.
list, Eva?
Because I was really tempted to prepare like movie posters and like we could like drag and drop a whole tier list thing, but I was like, no, I don't want to know what any of the movies are.
You
I
didn't
just
want
want
to put in any effort.
Yeah, I'm lazy.
Well, I don't know if anyone. Okay, so one of the platforms that I think the three of us use is Letterboxd.
Yeah.
It's
Shout out Letterboxd.
Shout out Letterboxd.
Shout out
Massive
Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Please
Because-
sponsor us.
Yeah.
Please.
I think everyone listening to this should be familiar with it, and if you're not familiar with it, it's probably the most efficient
So efficient.
for
Movie watchers.
logging what films you've watched. You can create lists. You can review the films that you've watched.
Yeah.
You can see what other people you've added as a follower. Like
It's a social media.
It is a social media. Like obviously, there's no messaging.
Yeah.
You only put one picture of yourself up there, but it's really, really great. It doesn't.
You don't even have to. Mine is a picture of Andy Samberg in the movie, which everyone should watch.
So
You kind of resemble him a little bit
I
right
do.
now.
I've started to
Yeah.
copy his
Yeah,
looks.
just without the nose.
Yeah, but I'm doing my own stunts now in my YouTube videos.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah. Shout out to Peter
Shout out
and
to my
YouTube
please
channel.
Watch my YouTube channel.
So I don't know if anyone follows you.
Me?
through Letterboxd.
On Letterboxd?
Put it in the description.
We could
Yeah,
put it
we'll
in
put
the
our
description.
Letterboxd and yours. We'll put all of our
Yeah, I'll
Letterboxd
start being more
profiles.
active.
And
on
we
Letterboxd.
can. One of us might put up the list, Vatican film list.
Yes.
Or we could even,
Yeah. Yeah. I'll
Follow
put a
all
link.
of us. No,
I'll put
follow all of us, and then you'll see who posts it.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the description to the Vatican list. But
unfortunately, one of the things that Letterboxd doesn't let you do is if you do create lists, there's no way of like actually seeing it publicly. So you have to go into lists. Like one of the things that comes up is like you can scroll through all the what is it, like subpages.
Yeah.
One of them is lists.
Yeah.
That's how you kind of access that.
yeah,
Okay.
Okay,
Vatican film list.
he's got it.
he's got it.
All right. Will I read the Wikipedia description?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So it's literally the Vatican's, the Wikipedia title for it is Vatican's list of films. So that's it.
Thank you, Wikipedia.
In 1995, on the centenary of cinematography, 100 years after the Lumiere brothers displayed their first film for an audience, the Vatican's Pontifical Council for Social Communications compiled a list called Some Important Films, or in I'm going to butcher this Italian pronunciation, alcuni film importanti.
Importate, probably.
That's metric.
Is it I or E at the end? I. Oh, it is E. Yeah. Important.
The 45 films are divided equally into three categories: religion, values, and art, with no order of importance placed on the films. The
We are
council
going to
was
place
careful-
the order of importance.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
We're gonna do what the Vatican were
Yeah.
afraid
What
to
they
do.
should have done.
The council was careful not to regard the films on the list as the best or most important, saying not all that deserve mention are included. The list was distributed as part of an information packet on film appreciation sent to the Bishops' Conference in mid-October 1995.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's them.
So, how will I do this? Will I go through the films, or...
Yeah, just start. Like, I feel like if you say what a film is, what one of the films is, and then we'll be like, we'll rank it out of 10.
How will we know
We'll
if we
give
haven't
it-
seen the film?
What?
How will we know if we haven't seen the film?
Okay, if we've heard of it, and if we haven't seen it, an A.
Okay.
What do we think?
Oh,
is that a
NA.
good?
I
Not
thought
applicable.
you said an A, like as in like it's automatic.
No, it's automatic.
A status.
No, like N/A.
Yeah, N/A.
I just got a
Is
text
it-
from my mum asking how my day's been. It's been great. Shout out, Mom. Shout out, Jer Morris. I'll text you later.
This is what he's doing.
You
very
can text her
important
back.
stuff.
Send her a voice message.
No.
No.
This is very important.
Call her right now.
No,
We have a caller coming in.
Yeah, we've got a caller coming in.
You're on the air.
She disagrees with that thing. I'm going to send her a text back saying fine.
Okay.
One word, fine.
You see it
Fine.
in
BRB.
BRB. Breakfast.
Yeah.
Robes. More breakfast.
BRB.
Okay, I'll keep
right.
track. I'll keep a track, and then by the end, then we will.
Okay.
Oh, the films, is it? Okay,
Yeah.
so the first category is religion.
Okay.
All right. And the first film on the list is Andrei Rublev. So, okay.
Have you seen it?
I have seen it.
Okay.
It's... So it's funny when they're talking about like the order of films that in terms of like its quality, because they said they didn't want to put it in any order. But again, going back to that podcast that is listed, they said this is like the quintessential Christian film.
Really?
So
This one is in the religion.
Yeah, this one is in religion and context. So Andrei Rublev was actually is a recognized saint within the Catholic Church and particularly the Eastern Orthodox Church, and he was an Eastern Orthodox iconolist.
Okay.
So
I feel like I recognize the name.
Yeah.
So he painted icons.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what he
Okay,
did.
yeah.
That was his thing.
Which is an incredible thing when you look into it, because it's prayer. Like they fast when they're doing it.
Yeah.
There's very kind of rules you have to follow when you're doing it. So it's a tough thing to do.
So this film was directed by a very well-renowned Russian director called Andrei Tarkovsky.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So most people, at least if you kind of dip your toes a little bit into the art house cinema, everyone will have at least at some point heard of Andrei Tarkovsky, who was, by all accounts, a devout Eastern Orthodox Christian. In fact, from what Brendan, shout out Brendan.
Shout out.
What Brendan told me, who is, I'd say, out of all the people I know, the biggest fan of Tarkovsky's work, said that he was exiled from Soviet Russia because of how steadfast he stood with his Eastern Orthodox.
Crazy.
So he directed Andrei Rublev. I think he's got a couple of others on the list. Maybe not. We'll go through them anyway. It's a great film. A bit of a slow burner, I'm not going to lie, but it's an incredible film. If you can sit through the 3 hours or whatever it is, it's very meditative. It's not so slow that you kind of sit there and you're bored. But it's not like an action piece either.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's set like during the 15th century. The atmosphere that they kind of build up for, the 15th century Russia is, I'd say, pardon none. Really incredible film.
So what would you rank it out of 10?
I'd give that something close to a 10 actually, a 9 or 10. So I will give it a 9.
Okay.
The reason being is because I'm going to give a slight spoiler here. It's a spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
There is a scene relatively close to the beginning, maybe like within the first 40 minutes or so, where it shows him giving into temptation, where he gets tempted by a pagan festival, where there is women who don't have anything on, kind of dancing around the place.
Interesting.
He gets tempted, but he's sort of like, and even what they do to him is they try to mock crucify him, and he says, "No, don't crucify me this way. At least crucify me upside down, so that I'm not mocked."
Like Saint Peter.
Like
Saint Peter. So that's something, and that's the reason I give it a 9 out of 10. Because even though that's there, and even though I do think it's an integral part, and it probably did happen, I never do think it's necessary to.
Sure. I agree.
And so,
but
just to clarify, when you are saying you're ranking it, is your ranking like just in terms of the movie itself, or how relevant, how much it should be on this list?
So, what I'll say about Andrei Rublev is, when you're talking about Christian films, the majority of Christian films are crap. There is a lot of crap out there, Christian films, and the problem with it is what they do is they don't. It's less to do. It's more to do with sort of like good guy beats bad guy with a Christian aesthetic.
Yeah.
And what I think Christian films really should be capturing is that to be really embracing the Christian life is to carry your cross and suffer. And I think there hasn't been many films that have captured that well. And I think Andrei Rublev is one of those films that really, really does it well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I rank it very high up there in terms of Christian films. As I said, I don't think it's going to be for everyone. If you have an appreciation for cinema, I think you'd like this film, but it's not the kind of film if you have like a long day after work and you want something to like relax to, you don't watch Andrei Rublev. The best time to watch Andrei Rublev is when you have a day off, you wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you have your black coffee, and you sit down there and you kind of meditate on it.
Okay,
That's
cool.
the best way to do it.
Yeah, sounds like a good way to.
Cool. What I appreciate is that the Vatican still recommends it. I think that's interesting because, like, obviously it has that bit that, like, I feel like a lot of people would think, why would the Vatican include that if there's like explicit nudity or whatever? But they can still recognize that there is art, because I feel like especially there's been a lot of debate when like Oppenheimer came out.
Yeah.
On like nudity in movies and like should Catholics be allowed to go see it, and like is it sinful to watch a movie with nudity or like explicit violence or like swearing, stuff like that, taking the Lord's name in vain even. And I think that it's interesting that the church like would put this on and have like a standpoint of like, this is something that the faithful are recommended to watch because like it has a good portrayal of religion. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we should continue because I feel like if
45.
it's 45.
I wonder how long we kind of went through that.
Yeah. It's okay. I feel like the first one,
Yeah. Were you wearing sunglasses yesterday?
No.
Okay.
My sunburn does look like I was. I'm
Sorry, I got very distracted by your sunburn.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a weird
I feel like, do we have to go through every movie, or should we just hit the
big
highlights?
ones?
Well, okay, so Andrei Rublev
we'll
is
quickly...
a film. It's funny how this is the first one that comes up, because when I do think of good quality Christian films, this is like the one that comes to my mind.
Yeah, okay.
And this is probably the one I'm going to talk about the most.
Okay.
Like, I feel like we'll mention each one, but we don't have to go in super detail on each one.
Okay, so the next one is Babette's Feast, which I've also seen. This is a slightly different one. So this is a really, really beautiful film because it's really gentle. And essentially, the plot line of it is you have these two Danish sisters who are...
give it to me. Sorry.
Okay. We have these two Danish sisters who are like super sort of like conservative, I think like Lutheran faith, but they're really like they're just really wholesome. Like they're really giving. They put emphasis on these good Christian values. But what happens is they get this mysterious French woman who's a Catholic shows up, and they bring her in, and she says she's lost everything. They bring her in, and she basically lives with them for years.
Right.
And what happens is she wins the lottery, and the whole film is about she wants to spend the money for the lottery, honoring them by just making them a massive feast.
Right. Okay.
So it sounds simple, but it's a really beautiful film, and apparently this whole feast is very symbolic of the Eucharist.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So that's all I'll say on that one.
Yeah. What would you give that out of 10?
I would give that another 9.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, they really get these two. It's two very strong start with these first two films.
I think I've heard of that one as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you who recommended that to me is Brother Charles.
Okay.
Shout out
Brother Charles.
Yeah. He gave that film a 5 stars and said you should really watch this film. I went away and I gave it 4.5.
Dang.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Agree to disagree, I guess.
Agree to disagree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's subjective, but it's a very beautiful film, and I definitely... And yeah, even though that one's a more slow burner film, that is very much a winter, have a hot chocolate.
What's the runtime?
5
I'm actually going to go into it's around 2 hours. Yeah, 102 minutes, so just under 2 hours.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, not even 2 hours. 102 minutes.
120 is
102 minutes. Yeah, I said just under 2 hours.
Oh, did you? I thought you said just over 2 hours. Sorry. Sorry. My apologies.
Okay. Next one is Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur.
The
OG Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen
No,
the OG?
I've watched
clips of it.
I've watched the new one.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've seen the chariot race.
Yeah, I think
which
chariot
is
race.
incredible. Like, it's honestly breathtaking.
Yeah.
I think so. I've only seen clips of Ben-Hur. I never took the time to sit down, so I'm going to be a little bit. I don't think I'd rate this very high. I might give it a 6 because it's a monumental piece of cinema. But I don't think it's, even though it's set in biblical times, it's using the biblical times as a historic piece.
Yeah.
And even though its scope is quite massive when you look back at it now, from what I know, I don't think it hasn't aged poorly, but I think there has been other epics that have come out that have aged a bit better.
Okay.
So
Yeah. I haven't seen it either.
I'd like to watch it.
Yeah, once again, shout out to the podcast What Went Wrong, because they did an amazing episode covering it. And just from what they heard from them talking about it, is it sounds like it's the first modern blockbuster. Like, they really kind of set the tentpole for that. And I can see there'd be a lot of things in it that maybe wouldn't work so well now. And I think it's a little bit interesting that the Vatican put it there, because I feel like it's like it is to do, but I feel like it was during a time where there was lots of movies coming out, and I wonder if one of them is going to be on the list. There's one called, it's not The Robe, it's called The Shroud, or the I can't remember what it's called now, but it's basically like a historical fiction movie of a Roman guard who has one of the garments that the Roman soldiers, toss lots for. Yep. He was one of the soldiers, and he gets the, what would you call it? The thing.
Garment?
Anyway, but there's a word that they use in the movie
Tunic.
anyway. And it's kind of like this, it kind of is, it's almost like a curse on him now. It's like this weight, it brings with him this weight of him, and he's like rethinking his whole life. And Ben-Hur, I think, fits into that historical fiction in the biblical time. So like you said, it's like, it's to do with that story, but I don't know how much it's actually going to, like, I haven't seen Ben-Hur, so I can't really say, but I don't know what it's actually going to do in terms of, like, religious.
Have you both seen the new Ben-Hur?
No.
You've seen it,
Patrick, yeah.
So apparently, from what I've heard with that one, is they make Christ a more central figure in that one, whereas in the original he was more like a background character.
Yeah.
So
and is that true?
I can't remember, to be honest. It's been a while. It's probably been over 10 years since
so we
I
don't
watched
know what
it.
we're talking about.
But I remember really liking it.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm as a Christian film, I'm gonna give it a 6, but I don't think it's a fair
I'll
score,
have to check
because
it out.
I've only seen clips of it really.
Yeah. But I would recommend everyone watch the chariot race from it, because it's honestly, like, because I watched it after I listened to the podcast, and I my jaw was on the floor. The fact they made that,
I know, yeah.
How many years ago? Like, when did that?
They made it in the 50s.
50.
And no horses got injured or killed or anything like that. Like, they did it all safely, and it looks unbelievable. If you haven't, just pull it up on YouTube, watch the chariot race scene. It's well worth it.
But finish this podcast first.
But finish this podcast first, because guys, it's gonna get crazy.
Yeah, this is only the beginning.
You won't believe what happens next. What's the next movie?
Well, I'm going to say the two of these together, because it seems like they're both films about St. Francis of Assisi.
Okay.
I've probably seen one of these.
So the first one is called The Flowers of St. Francis, which came out in 1950, and I think was an Italian-produced one. I haven't seen either of these, but I think out of the two of them,
what's the second one called?
The second one is called Francesco, and I believe it's Mickey Rourke that plays as St. Francis in it, which is crazy. Mickey Rourke was the guy that played as the villain in the second Iron Man film. Whiplash.
Yeah, no, and he's...
Oh, wow.
And he's what's the movie called? The Wrestler as well.
And he's in The Wrestler, yeah.
Amazing actor.
Yeah, he was. He's had so much work done. This is before he had the work done, so he looks a little bit more natural. But as far as I know, The Flowers of St. Francis, it's a good film. It's wholesome.
I think that's the one I've seen, but it was a while ago now at this point, and the only scene I remember is him getting the stigmata, and it was very, like...
Traumatizing?
No, it was
nice.
Very beautifully done.
Yeah.
It showed it as less of a, oh my gosh, what's this, like, thing, like, what's happening to this guy?
Yeah.
As him, he almost accepts it. He's like, but he's hesitant. It's like, it's akin to Jesus in the garden.
Yeah.
Of him being like, which is kind of what we all aspire to, of being like, he's kind of, I remember him being on his knees and kind of being like, really kind of beat and defeated with all these struggles, but he kind of then gives himself over, and then he gets the stigmata, similar to how Jesus is like, if you can, take this cup away from me. But the final line is always, not my will, but your will be done. So I remember it was very, even as a 8-year-old, I sipped my chocolate milk and I was like, that's a beautiful scene. And
the Italian really came out.
Yeah, I was like, hey, this guy gets it. If that's the one I've seen, I think it's
You'd recommend it?
Yeah, and I like.
What would you give it out of 10?
From my 8-year-old.
If this is the one.
Yeah. if this is the one I'm thinking of, I'd give it, from what I remember, I think I'd give it a 7. I feel like it's probably quite long, for a thing, but it goes through his life and it shows his kind of change from arrogant kind of soldier into who he becomes, which is this really beautiful soul who completely gives his life over to God. And yeah, I just, so 7 out of 10. And I remember it even at the time looking very beautiful. Like it was shot on, shot on film, but like Italian films in general, really their cinematography is, and it's set in Assisi, so it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's hard to beat.
If that's the one I'm thinking of, it's a good movie.
I'm just gonna stop keeping track of the movies.
Oh,
because we'll keep on going with the ratings and stuff like that. But I feel like we haven't seen enough of them so far.
No,
unless will we have
like,
seen
I guess when it gets more modern, because these are
all
all
a lot of the religious. So as I said, a lot of them kind of like bounce between
these
back
are
and
all
forth.
old movies.
I'm looking at the values one, and I think you'll be like familiar with.
Okay,
should we just skip to values?
No,
what I'm going through, like as I said, I'm talking in chunks right now, so we can literally just the next two are just two films based on the Gospels.
Okay.
One of them is literally called The Gospel according to Saint Matthew.
Okay.
I haven't seen it. The next one is Vie Passion du Christ.
French,
obviously, just I think it's just a Passion of Christ.
Passion
I think
Christ.
that came out in 1903.
Whoa!
And I found, just quickly reading on the Wikipedia page, it was the first feature-length film based on the Gospels.
Wow!
I think so. That is a long time ago. We'll probably get that one on YouTube,
subtitled. Hopefully.
They only had subtitles back then. There was no sound.
There'll be double subtitles. Yeah, you'll have French and then the English.
The next one, I don't know if any of you guys have seen this, A Man for All Seasons. It's about Thomas More.
Right, okay.
I haven't seen it, actually.
So I haven't seen it, but it's my parish priest. Shout out Father Rory.
Shout out.
It's his favourite film, as far as I remember. Oh, it's one of his favourite films anyway.
I think I've heard of that one as well.
Yeah, so... it's going to be really good.
We're just really proving
I'm
how
just like, this podcast is just, that sounds like a good
really
movie.
I think I've heard of that one.
I think I've heard of that one.
Hey guys, this is...
You've heard of We've heard of Thomas More. We've heard of Thomas More.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
And we know about Thomas More. We know about his big old drama with Henry VIII.
Yeah, don't shout out King Henry VIII.
No. Shout down Henry VIII.
Shout down.
Shout down.
Shout out Thomas
Shout
More.
in.
Shout in.
Shout in.
So that's meant to be really good. The next one is The Mission. Have you seen The Mission?
No,
is that about Jesuits?
That's about the Jesuits.
And it has
Japan.
Gabriel's Oboe is the...
Gabriel's Oboe. What I say, it's a really great film. I give it 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's one of my mom's favourite movies.
Yeah, beautiful soundtrack.
Yeah, my dad plays Gabriel's Oboe on the guitar, so not on the oboe. But
would shout out Ennio Morricone. I'm going to say instead, rest in peace, Ennio Morricone.
Yeah, because he did the music
dying,
for it.
And he did the dying.
Yeah, he's an incredible musician.
He is.
Yeah. Apparently, sorry, just quickly on him.
Tell us.
He did. He's credited with doing the music for The Thing, which is a very...
Yes, he is. Yeah.
But apparently, he only did about 20 minutes of the music.
Wow.
And then he gave it back to John Carpenter, and then John Carpenter was like, I'm just going to do the rest of it.
That's
And
cool.
so it sounds like a John Carpenter track, but there are some bits of the score that do sound much better than a John Carpenter.
Wow,
But
that's fun.
John Carpenter makes good music, but it's like it's a bit better in The Thing. But he's a great musician. Rest in peace. And listen to all his music because it's beautiful.
Yeah. The next ones I haven't heard of. Monsieur Vincent, I can only assume is about Saint Vincent.
I guess so.
Maybe.
That feels like another one that I've seen just on EWTN or something like that.
Maybe Saint Vincent de Paul.
It was made in 1940. So, it's about Saint Vincent de Paul. Made in 1947, French film. Don't know anything about it.
French people.
My watch is beeping.
I forgive you.
Nazarene is the next one. I haven't heard of that one. 1959. Could only assume that it's...
Probably Jesus, maybe.
I don't know. Sorry, listeners, if you have... Oh, no, it's not. It's
Swipe right.
It's a Mexican satirical drama film.
Crazy.
Made by Louis Buñuel.
I think I've heard of
his name.
I have seen Louis Buñuel. His films are nuts. He's one of these avant-garde... Actually, I'll tell you, you have probably... Because you've seen Midnight in Paris.
No.
I've seen Midnight in Paris.
Haven't seen Midnight?
The Woody Allen movie, Midnight in Paris.
You were the one that introduced me to that film. You said, I think we should sit down. No, okay, actually, that's crazy, because you said, I think we should sit down to watch this film, and it wouldn't buffer, so we couldn't watch it.
When?
In Glencumra.
I think Paddy probably was like, I think
The Owen Wilson one, where he goes back in time.
It's an amazing film.
I've never heard of this movie.
You've never seen... You should watch Midnight in Paris.
Watch Midnight in Paris.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
It's Owen Wilson goes back in time in Paris.
That sounds like a Sean Blackwell.
No, it was you.
It was me?
Definitely you. Yeah.
On my year.
Yeah.
That's whack.
Don't know why you're
Anyway, watch out or watch.
So what does he have to do with Midnight in Paris?
He's a
Is
character.
is
He's
in
one
it?
of the artists in Midnight in Paris.
in the 1920s.
Yeah, he's the one. If you remember, Owen Wilson goes to a character and says, "You should make a film where all these people are like in a room," and he's really confused.
That's
so that's who Louis Buñuel is. He was a
Yeah.
sort of one of these avant-garde artists / directors.
So yeah, the plot of Midnight in Paris, just super quickly, is Owen Wilson is in Paris and he's an artist, but he's
Is it midnight?
no, but he's like not yet. He's
Not
like
yet.
I just everything was better in the 20s, was it?
Yeah.
Right, and he's just like that's when all the big artists were here. I think so. Then one night he's walking at midnight in Paris, and a car just pulls up, like a really old car. He gets into it, and he's suddenly transported back to the 1920s, and he meets all these artists who he wants to do, and it's like kind of it's a weird vibe movie.
Yeah.
It reminds me of another movie which maybe people haven't seen called Local Hero, which is like kind of
great film. Yeah, sorry,
amazing movie. But I feel like those two have very similar vibes, where it's like kind of slice of life, like things just kind of happen and weird things kind of just happen and move along.
It kind of seems to be Woody Allen style.
It is.
A little bit?
It is Woody Allen movie.
Actually, what I'll say, I've never compared those two films, but I say what about Local Hero and Midnight in Paris is with most films you have a plot where there's like something high at stake. For those films, there's nothing high at stake.
Nothing really at stake. Yeah.
It just makes everything nice. You can just enjoy the film.
Yeah. So watch those two movies, everyone. I think Local Hero is one of my favorite movies. I think.
So the last three films of religion.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of which is Passion of Joan of Arc from 1928,
fun.
which I have not seen, but apparently it's meant to be again on par with Andrei Rublev as some of the best films.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. That DVD was in our house,
Really?
but I didn't watch it.
Okay. I think it's a lot of these old films.
Story.
Huh?
It's probably an intense enough story.
Yeah, I'd say. But a lot of these films that were probably made, particularly foreign language films that were like made before like the 1980s, are probably free on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
or archive.org is that?
Or Internet Archive.
Internet Archive.
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
The next one is The Sacrifice. It's another Tarkovsky film. I thought it was good. I think it's a good film. I wouldn't classify it as a religious film, even though there are religious themes. In terms of its quality, I'd give it like an 8. In terms of its religious themes, I'd give it like a 5.
Well, then why do you think they would put it on there?
Why do I think they put it on there? I don't know.
Okay.
Some of these like, and this is like some particularly when we move away from like the religious ones, these are the ones that you just like, okay, well, I can see that some of the ones
Joan of Arc. It's about
some of the ones, particularly with art, you just kind of like I'm going to list out some of these. You're going to know about them, and you're just going to be like, why is that on there?
Interesting.
So
intriguing.
The religious one, we'll sit here. We'll just be like, okay, I can understand.
Yeah.
The Sacrifice, I don't understand why they view that as a religious film. It is about there's themes of mental health on there. There is themes because the whole thing is about a scare of nuclear war.
Right.
Oh,
Right, but there's sort of like sort of aspects of mysticism and everything like that involved. So it's a great film. I've seen all of Tarkovsky's films, all 7 of them. They're all great films. But as I said, Andrei Rublev, you could definitely put it on the religious list. The Sacrifice, that one doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Interesting.
Good to know.
And then the last one is Therese, which came out in 1986, which I can only imagine is a film about Saint
Therese
Therese
of
of
Lisieux.
who had a great life. I don't know anything about the film, but
Is she one of the doctors of the church?
She is.
Yeah, she's incredible.
all right. Next one we're on to is Values.
Okay.
All right, so that was
Values.
yes,
All right.
Values.
So we went through those religious.
All the religious.
Yeah.
And we're
So-
on to values.
It was 15.
Actually, the first 3 films on these, I don't think any of us will know, or at least I don't know. I haven't seen any of them, but I think going.
Why would
from
we?
there, yeah, sure. Okay, so first one is called Au revoir l'enfant.
Goodbye.
Goodbye
the kid.
Goodbye the kid. Yeah. Next one is Bicycle Thieves, and so all I do know
I
about
like the
this
title.
one,
Sorry,
Bicycle
I just
Thieves.
wanna say,
The only thing I do know about this one is it is the first kind of like film about like that tackles on a realistic depiction of poverty.
Okay.
Because it's about a father and son that go about together, and they
Bicycles.
as far as I know, yeah.
So
But
like an older pursuit of happiness.
yeah, but I also think that there's a bit of moral ambiguity there because I don't think, from what I remember of Pursuit of Happiness, I don't think Will Smith's character did anything.
No, he was just kind of like
He was just trying to strive to survive.
Yeah, I guess so.
Whereas this is like focusing. Okay, would you break your moral integrity in order to provide for your?
Sorry, I don't mean to yawn. I'm tired. This is.
I don't think these 45 films are. right, Burmese harp is the next one. I don't know much about the Burmese harp. Okay, the next one, Chariots of Fire.
Oh, okay. I've still
All right.
never watched it.
Still haven't watched it, but we're familiar with it.
Yeah, have
Got
you
a bunch
watched
of it? No.
Really?
Yeah, I know about it, but you don't know. I heard the music, and it's just like this synth pop.
I know
just-
the music.
You know, I actually can't
bum.
believe that one's not on religion
Really?
because
It's all about religion.
Yeah.
It's like he wants. There's a race on a Sunday. That's like basically it. And he
Yeah.
doesn't want to race on a Sunday. 'cause
Yeah,
it's against
and so he
religion.
burns all the chariots.
And they go on fire.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Bean at the 2012 Olympics gets the piano and goes boom, 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 boom.
Bum, bum, bum.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the
Chariots
next
of Fire. That I
We will
you know,
find a movie
when
we've
I,
seen.
Yeah, all of us have seen. When I was on net as a supervisor, the 1 year that I was a supervisor, then the team that I supervised, shout out to Jack McCarthy. Jack McCarthy made the team watch Chariots of Fire for team prayer.
That was it. I knew there was something to do with Chariots of Fire that you knew. So wait, so you have seen it?
No,
Oh, you
I,
weren't. You were,
I was
oh,
on
you
team.
were the supervisor.
I was a supervisor.
Shout out to you, Jack McCarthy.
Shout out.
I hope you liked the movie.
I think he does.
He must have
Yeah.
forced his team to watch
Yeah.
it.
All right, so the next one is the Colossal Decalogue, which
That's the
which-
10-parter.
that is the 10-parter
movie.
that we were talking about, and I think this is very appropriate for values because there's 10 of the short films, and each one of them is based on each of the 10
Ten
Commandments.
Commandments.
Cool.
So I think it fits very nice and snug in values. It's a very, very heavy 10 hours. You should not binge watch it. I watched it consecutively in 10 days, and it was a lot.
Okay.
The first episode is a lot.
Yeah.
It's some of the most intense filmmaking I've seen.
Wow.
Okay.
Great.
It is on YouTube.
It is
I
on YouTube.
literally have one of the first one up on YouTube,
Yeah.
ready to watch.
Yeah.
There you go.
Rearing.
So great
So
films.
close.
Definitely recommend you should go watch them. Watch them with caution. In terms of values, I give that like an 8.5.
Okay.
Super
All right.
value. Someone
The next one is going to be one of those films that you just don't know. But it's called Dursu Uzala. However, you might know the director. The director is Akira Kurosawa,
Oh yeah.
Yes.
who is one of the most fundamental
Yeah.
Japanese
Yeah.
directors.
Seven Samurai?
He made Seven Samurai, which was remade into
Haven't watched that.
The
Magnificent Seven.
Magnificent Seven,
Yes,
which was
one is that
remade
made into
again
into Magnificent Seven.
with Chris
Which I
Pratt.
have seen.
The one with Chris
He made
Pratt.
a film
Yeah.
called
And Denzel Washington.
Yojimbo, which was remade into A Fistful of Dollars,
Yes.
which was what kicked off Clint Eastwood's career. He also made a film called Hidden Fortress, which was an influence
Yes.
on a little known film that you guys probably haven't heard of called Star Wars.
Don't know that one.
Dursu
Don't know that. I heard about that one, I think.
is a good film.
that
I wouldn't
another
say it's my
art house
favorite
movie?
Kurosawa film,
Okay.
but Kurosawa, you should definitely check him out.
For
He's
sure,
really
for
incredible.
sure.
Okay, shout out to
All
you.
right.
So wait, is that a French one?
No, it's
It's just got a French title.
No, Dursu Uzala was a
Oh, sorry.
Mongolian. Yeah, so it's one of his first films outside Japanese.
Sorry.
It's
Oh,
based
okay.
in Russian.
Oh, Russian.
Whoa.
Okay. I
This guy
don't speak Japan.
knows
Yeah, I mean,
Prophecy,
I give like
Russian.
that like a 5. It's a good film,
In terms of
but like
values
in
or in
words-
terms of.
I mean, the
movie?
values in it are good. I'd probably pick another Kurosawa film if we want to talk about values. Like
Okay.
a lot of his films have good values in them, but yeah,
Okay, we'll check.
Awesome.
We'll check it out.
Yeah.
go check Kurosawa out anyway. I would
Okay.
check that one out first.
All
But
right.
watch the Seven Samurai.
Yes.
Everyone should watch the Seven
Yeah,
Samurai.
that's on my list for 100 movies this year.
The next one is Gandhi.
Mahatma.
Mahatma.
Haven't seen that one.
That's interesting.
Yeah, those
That
were
is-
things that are getting
That's an interesting.
Have you seen
one. No, but just it's about the life of
think
Gandhi.
about it. Like, okay, so here's one of the things that we like. I haven't seen Gandhi. You haven't seen Gandhi.
No.
I'm gonna guess you haven't seen Gandhi, right?
Yeah.
But
That's
would you
correct.
put a film about Mahatma Gandhi into a film?
Gandhi has good values.
Okay, so you would, yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would.
You don't know if you would.
I'm on the fence
Why?
about that. He has good values to a degree, but I don't know enough right now off the top of my head, but I remember I learned about him in history. I feel like that there's enough in his life that fundamentally goes against some Christian values that I don't think it's.
Well, then
like,
I wonder like what aspects of his
Yeah.
life it touches upon in the
'cause
movie.
I don't remember enough about it, but I'm pretty sure, like, you know.
Or maybe this was like whenever like ecumenism was getting really big or something like that.
But it could, like, I mean, once again, I haven't seen the movie, so the movie might, once again, like, the movie isn't his his life and the movie are separate, like, you know, so
Yeah.
they could have chosen in the movie to focus on,
Christian aspects of his life.
human rights is something that we all strive for. Like, that's
sure.
what he was going for, and
Some
the
of us,
value of people.
not Declan.
Declan hates humans.
Anti-humanist.
Get them out of here.
Concretist.
So yeah, I don't know. I'll have to watch the movie.
Yeah, someday. This is going to be a real.
I'm losing my mind a little bit, guys. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm hoping there's a
I
movie
can't believe
that
we haven't seen any of these so far.
Yeah.
Well, I think you'll see the next one is A Wonderful Life.
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen that
Haven't
movie.
seen that one. It's
You've
been
seen
a
that one?
long time since I've seen that
I've
one.
cried a million times in that movie.
All right,
That's the
I've also
Christmas
so
one,
we
isn't it?
we have seen.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
I think
so
it
we finally found a film that
Yes.
we agree on.
Finally. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it should be on the list, even though technically, like the way it shows angels and God isn't technically theologically correct. Your man who made the movie was, I don't know if he was Catholic. He might have been Catholic or he was Christian, and he knew what he was putting in wasn't theologically correct.
It's pretty hard to get a correct angel into a movie.
Yeah, but it's more so. It's just like the thing of just like he gets his wings and stuff like that. That is besides the point.
Red Bull does that.
Yeah.
Not angels.
Come on,
Shout
out Red Bull.
I'm not shouting out Red Bull.
Sponsor us.
I've never drank Red Bull.
I drank a Red Bull today. I've gone on into it recently, which is bad.
Shout out black coffee with no sugar. Pour over black coffee, but only paying less than €5 for it. Or €5 less. I paid €11 for a cup of pour over once.
Oh, no.
Won't do that again.
No.
Yeah, no.
But yeah,
sorry,
values-wise, I'd give that maybe 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I give it a 9.
9 out of 10. It's
I'd probably give it 9.2. 9.2 out of 10.
What was your favorite part about the movie, Paddy?
That part when he's on the bridge.
Alright, I'm just going to go through these films,
Yeah.
and if you say you know it, then we'll give
We'll
it.
stick
On
on
the
it.
Waterfront.
No.
Okay. Rome Open City.
No.
Okay, Schindler's List.
Yeah, Schindler's List.
Schindler's List. Sorry.
Schindler's List.
Schindler's List.
Yeah, I've seen that one. I watched that one when I went to Poland.
Wow.
And it was crazy because I was like, oh my gosh, I was literally standing in that exact spot.
Dang.
And then, but that's a really powerful movie.
I haven't seen Schindler's List.
You've not seen it?
I've got it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's
why.
what
I'm gonna
It's
watch
very
it
good.
because I'm gonna watch every Steven Spielberg movie. But I've only
Yeah,
watched 3
I'm on a
movies.
mission to watch every Spielberg movie as well.
But I will get to it eventually.
Yeah, it's very good.
But you would recommend it? You'd say you'd
For
put
sure.
it on the list?
I think I think there is nudity in that one as well.
Maybe.
But you think it's done in a way that is pointing towards
it's not like
it's not glorifying
it's
it.
not glorifying it in any way, because it's like the Holocaust, and so
that's
it's
just
terrible.
like that's the reality of what
exactly,
it was like.
Wow.
Wow.
But if you're squeamish, cover your eyes.
Okay. I do need to check it out. Apparently it's crazy he made that the same year as Jurassic Park.
It is. That is
he
crazy.
did
Yeah.
and Jurassic Park in the same year. That man was on something else in the 90s.
All right, Patrick, what would you give it for values?
Schindler's List for values. For values, maybe 6 or 7.
Okay.
Maybe 7. I'd give it 7.
In terms of a movie, like
in terms of a movie, I'd probably give it an 8.
wow. Okay. I will watch it eventually.
Okay, the next 2 that I'm going
We're
to
getting
mention.
better. We're getting better.
Yeah, the next 2 I don't think either of you has seen. Is
All right.
The
There's no need to assume.
Well, you'd be familiar with the title. The Seventh Seal is the next one.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Is that the one with the chess?
It is the chess.
Nice.
Isn't our group chat named that after
Our
that?
group chat name is called
The Seventh Steel. Yeah.
Shout out Sean Blackwell, not shout out to your favorite
shout
film.
in Sean Blackwell.
Wait,
for
is the Seventh
the
Seal?
fact
shout
that
out-
his favorite movie is
Shout out. No. It's okay. So, we have a group chat called the Seventh Steel.
Yeah.
Because we have a good friend, Sean Blackwell. Shout out Sean Blackwell. Not shout out your favorite your film, which is Red Steel. Real Steel. Real Steel.
Oh no! Shout out Real Steel.
No.
What?
This
I'm
is
gonna
for
put you in
okay.
the
This
bin.
is conversation.
Get out.
You guys don't like Real Steel?
You haven't
never
seen
even
it,
watched
Patrick,
it.
but
You
I
haven't
watched
seen
it.
Real
Steel? And I would
I
never
watched
watch
it
it.
and I hated it.
What? Guys,
Not an
it's
entertaining-
so good.
No, it was not entertaining. I went into it saying, okay, this is like my friend's favorite film. I want to check out what it's like just to see if there's like a hype. It's just like it's an action film, like a family action film. I should be entertained. I never go on my phone watching a film. I was on my phone.
You were talking about slow burns at the start.
That's a slow burn film.
It's a slow burn purposefully because the final fight is the most hype thing you will ever see. It's Hugh Jackman shadow boxing with a robot What more do you
No,
want?
this film
No.
was doing Fortnite dances before Fortnite was a thing.
What? I don't see a problem here.
I see a big problem.
No, guys, Real Steel, and I would put that on the Vatican list. they dropped the ball with that one.
But the
okay.
Seventh Seal is an
Seventh Seal.
amazing film.
I haven't seen that one.
I would not put. I wouldn't put it on this list though, because it's about a knight who plays chess with death.
Yeah, I've seen.
So they
that
contemplate.
image.
It's about mortality, and it's about. It's about a man kind of coming to terms with his mortality. So, would I put it? I think it's a great film. I don't think I'd even put it. If I was to put it anywhere, I'd put it with religion maybe.
Interesting.
But
well, there can only be 15 there, and there's a lot of saint ones.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of statements.
We need 5 movies about St. Francis of Assisi.
The other one is the other one is Wild Strawberries, which is just it's another film. Ingmar Bergman is the guy that they made the Seventh Seal and Wild Strawberries. He's a Swedish director.
Is that where they got the title, the Wild Thornberries? Do you remember that cartoon?
Oh, I wonder, yeah.
Nigel Thornberry.
Nigel Thornberries. Is that from the
Thornberry.
Wild Strawberries?
Oh dear.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. Yeah, they're both good films. I don't know if I put them on values though.
Okay,
Come back to
well,
that one.
we'll come back to it later and see what we put
Yeah,
in
we'll come
and
All
back.
right, here's where things get interesting. This is art.
This is where
Alright.
things get interesting.
Yeah, this
guys.
is where things get interesting because the first one on art is 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh,
I mean,
never watched it.
But I haven't
dude.
seen it either. But in terms of art, just look at it.
The whole it's an
it's-
artistic film, but the whole film is like Stanley Kubrick wants to make propaganda for atheism.
yeah.
But it's incredible
But, okay.
to look at.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
it's beautiful.
Let's
a
look
lot
at
of
it.
films
Okay,
that
let's
are-
look at it this way, right? Art, I think, in terms of Catholic values, should be true, good, and beautiful.
If you could consider science to be those things, then yes, 2001 should be. But basically, the whole film is just like science is it,
Yeah.
and there's nothing beyond.
Interesting.
It's a cold look at what the universe is, and that's why I don't think I've watched it, and I think it's in terms of a spectacle. I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's incredible, but I think it's a very cold film. It's a very distance film, and I love science, and I even think it does science a disservice
Yeah,
because
sure.
it looks at it as just this cold, bleak
There's that like it's
ocean.
That's it.
yeah.
It doesn't point to anything.
emptiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is actually interesting. I went to a talk given by Sister. Forget her name. I'm so sorry. I'm so
Shout
sorry.
out every sister.
Yeah, all the nuns.
kind of
You're all doing
sister?
amazing
Dominican?
work. Pardon?
CFR.
She
Dominican?
was. It was with the Thomistic Institute. So
Thomistic
that's probably the
probably
Dominicans.
Dominican.
And she gives a
American?
great talk. Yes, about Anna Karenina.
What the?
Okay. Anyway, do you know Anna Karenina? It's written by Tolstoy. It's who did War and Peace. And
Yes, Leo.
Yes, Leo Tolstoy.
Pope Leo.
Leonardo da Tolstoy, yo.
He wrote a book called Anna Karenina, and she gave an amazing talk about it. But she's prefaced the talk talking about movies in general and stories in general, and giving kind of a history of stories and things like that. But she made a kind of a good square of like what a story can be. It can either be good, like well made, like basically well made and have good morals. Well made with bad morals, badly made with good morals, or badly made with bad morals. And she's like, badly made with bad morals is just like it's
Not
gone,
worth.
no one cares about it and things like that. Well made with good morals is kind of what the Vatican list is looking for, and that's like a movie that's kind of what we're talking about here. Is these are good, upstanding morals that uphold Catholic values, but are done so in an artistic way. But then there's the one that is like the most prevalent, and the one that you kind of have to not look out for, but just be aware of, is probably what 2001: A Space Odyssey falls into, which is unbelievably crafted, well made in terms of what it's actually saying. You probably wouldn't want to apply that to your life, and so just as a Catholic, you just have to be very.
But sometimes you can have a story like that, and it points to God in a way of like with like a life without God, you can see how meaningless it is. Like like I always like to point to Tolkien's story,
Listen to.
The Children of Hurin.
Oh yeah. Haven't read
Yeah,
it.
because the Children of Hurin is quite desperate, and like because I remember I think I've talked about it on a previous podcast, but like you read it and you're like, this is pretty horrendous. This is really sad. Like, what am I supposed to
Horrendous?
learn from this? What?
Horrendous.
Horrendous?
Children of Horrendous.
Oh, right. I get it. And you're like, what am I supposed to learn from this? And the point, I think, is that you're supposed to be like, okay, when you focus on yourself and when you just think of yourself as the main character of the story and you don't look beyond your walls, then like everything is just going to go miserably wrong. And when you just make yourself the center of attention and you don't like live a life of self-sacrifice, love like Christ loved us, then life kind of goes awry.
Yeah. So it's interesting, like, because I was only talking to you on the car on the way over it. I finished yesterday Mad Men, which is a series which is...
That's mad.
It's mad.
Mad Men.
Mad Men, Fury Road. And it's an incredibly well-made series, but it, like, morally bankrupt. Like, and every character in it is the worst. Yeah. They are all terrible people. And yet, through it, I'm like, is this show kind of like it's not doing it intentionally, but for me watching it as a Catholic, it's almost affirming my life with Christ, because it's like saying, that's basically saying this is all that's there without him, and it's leading every character to misery and to self-destruction and things like that. And there is actually a priest in the show. They actually do introduce a priest in the second season, I think, and he ends up at the end, he does something at the end which isn't great. He basically makes one of the women feel guilty about one of her sins, which he didn't do it in a very nice way. But throughout it, he's actually giving really good advice, and I think they actually did a great portrayal of a priest in the show. But overall, the show is about terrible people doing terrible things. Yeah. And yet, at the end of it, I was just like, this is kind of just pointing me towards more, okay, I need to get to know God a bit more, because he's like that.
Don't want to be like that.
I don't want to end up like that, because Don Draper was a great looking guy with a great suit, but he ends up miserable at the end of the show, and I don't want to be like that. Anyway, that's just a little tangent about that. So 2001 you'd take off the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, I haven't very... So what I'll say about 2001, I don't know if we probably don't have time to talk about what films we take out and put in. But
maybe at the end we could do just like a quick, just like each one has like one film or something, and then we can come back to it in another episode.
Well, what I will quickly say about 2001 is I would take it out, and what I put in is another film called Solaris, which is another Tarkovsky film, and Tarkovsky actually made Solaris as a sci-fi space odyssey film in response to 2001, because he said that it didn't engage spiritually. This one actually has an awful lot of spirituality attached to it. It's more focused on a man who's coming to terms with he's a psychologist, but he goes up to a space station. He's also coming to terms with his dead wife, who comes to him through some sort of apparition, whether it's a ghost or not is left a little bit ambiguous. But very beautiful. I think it's my favourite film of his, and when I read this list, I thought to myself, I don't understand why 2001 is on there and why Solaris is, unless you want to actually look at a film to look at what we don't believe as Catholics, which is about atheism, and you want to see a film. This is all science. If science was everything, this is what it would look like. Which I
could be what they're going for. Yeah.
The next one is a film about 8.5, which is about a film director. I didn't like it on my first watch. I loved it on my second watch, and a lot of people feel that way about it. It's a little avant-garde. It's a little bit experimental.
What does avant-garde mean?
Like,
well, the actual French is like avant is like away, I think, and then so it's probably like it probably just means like abnormal, maybe like it's off. Not that would be my French people. Shout out to you, French people.
I just feel like I hear it all the time, but it's one of those things.
Also, what's mise en scène? Or do you like that's such a like apparently there's like a film language now where they go like the film had no mise en scène or something like that. It's apparently what film bros say now about things, and I don't know what it is, but it's just okay.
So bro, yeah,
8.5. It's a good film.
8.5.
8.5, like 8 and then 1/2.
Yeah.
Is that how many stars do you give it out of 10?
After in terms of the quality of the film, I'd probably give it like 8.5. In terms of like Catholic values or art or anything Catholic, like a 3.
Oh,
the only thing that's Catholic about it is that he was raised Catholic, And
Hey.
in retrospective, like,
You never
back in
know.
life.
By God's grace, he could come back.
I don't think so. Not with this film.
All right.
Well, you never know. All right,
Next
Citizen Kane.
movie.
Okay.
I
haven't seen
You
it.
haven't seen Citizen Kane. All I'll say about Citizen Kane is it was ruined for me in my leaving cert because I had to study it.
Oh, there's
Uh,
nothing that ruins art more than studying it for your
Yeah,
answer.
nothing.
No, it's funny. Didn't do the
I
answer.
really I can't even rate that because I'm only be rating it based off.
Did you
my
do
academic-
music in your leaving cert?
I did.
So can you listen to Sgt. Pepper's?
Can't even listen to music anymore. I hated music in my leaving cert. I can listen to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and I enjoy it, but there are parts of it where it kind of like bring me back to that necktie.
The trauma.
I didn't do music in the leaving cert, but I've heard that about thing, and I have heard there's a piece that by an Irish artist called Sea Changes.
Oh, that's such a weird piece of music.
It's about 13 minutes long, and it's him
It's
like
just like a-
banging the bottom of a violin, or just like seashells,
Oh,
just
yeah,
like throw. It's just a mess, but it's art. Maybe it's on the
It's
list.
art, yeah. Maybe it's on the list. Yeah.
What's
The next one is Fantasia.
Oh, the Disney Fantasia.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
I
Haven't seen it.
have seen it.
I haven't seen it.
I think the one I saw the most actually was the sequel, Fantasia 2000.
As far as I know, the reason that they put this on here is just as a representative of
Animated
Disney.
films?
There's like cartoon films, but also just like Disney cartoon films.
Yeah.
Because it was, look, I don't know how much you can connect like Walt Disney to Catholicism. Apparently, he was a Freemason, so I don't think. He
Yeah,
was big
but I
on-
mean, like, the Brothers Grimm.
But so like Fantasia, I think the reason I think it's on there is because it was the movie. I think it flopped a little bit. It was Walt Disney just saying like, I want to make an art piece, a film which is just an art piece. It's a few different stories, but they're not interconnected. It's music. It's celebrating music. It's celebrating animation. I think they put it on there as like, if you want to talk about art, that's like at the time that was like the most artistic thing out there, and like. It is amazing. Like the Sorcerer's Apprentice animation short. You've seen that. It's Mickey Mouse with the dancing broomsticks.
Yeah.
Is one of the best like animated shorts ever made. Like it's incredible. So in terms of Catholic values, I don't know what values it promotes.
No, this is art.
Yeah, but it's like to do with like Catholicism, I guess. Like I don't know. Like
Yeah, like these are the kind of ones where you think to yourself, like, what is the connection between this and Catholicism? Because you could pretty much like
I see
throw
the
like
connection with it with art. Like it's
you could
pure.
throw Snow White in there. You could throw like any of the other like, cartoons that came out.
Yeah.
I'd say, well, this is the art one. Or so, okay, well, where's the Catholic values?
Yeah.
So it does to me come across as a little arbitrary.
Yeah, sure.
But I just want to say on Fantasia, the one I watched most was they made a sequel to it in 2000 called Fantasia 2000, which had a piece done to Rhapsody in Blue, which is a great piano piece by Gershwin, and that is my favorite animated piece of media ever. It is incredible, and now I can't hear that piece of music without picturing the scene.
Fantasia 2.
Fantasia 2000, check out, or just watch the Rhapsody in Blue thing on YouTube.
Okay.
I'm just promoting all the clips today. I'm clip farming, as they say.
Clip baiting.
Click, click, click.
Clip.
Hair clip.
Let's have a look at some of the other ones I don't even know.
If we don't know them, they're not good. That's what I'm
Do you want me
saying.
to list them off, or okay?
Well,
Just swing through them.
The Grand Illusion.
No,
No, okay. Lestrada.
I've heard of it.
I've heard of it.
I've heard of it. Yeah. The Lavender Hill Mob.
Great one.
Okay, so we haven't heard of it.
Nope.
The Leopard.
Rawr.
Sounds fast.
Okay, Little Women.
Little Women.
The
The
1933 though.
1933 one.
Not the
haven't seen
Timothy
any-
Chalamet one.
No, that's the only one I've
It's like-
seen. I haven't even seen the Christian Bale
Timothy
one.
Chalamet was just about born in 1995. So
I thought you were going to say Timothy Chalamet was born in 1933.
Could you imagine?
He's eternal.
He was just an up and coming.
Have you seen the new one?
I've seen the 2019 one.
The Timothy
I haven't
Chalamet.
seen that. I've
I've seen
Haven't
it.
seen it.
I've seen it.
But I love Timothy Chalamet.
The story is really good. Little Women is great. I haven't read the book. My sister's read it.
Yeah,
Shout
my
out-
mom and my sister love
Yeah,
it.
shout out to all the women in our lives, little or not.
Little women, big women,
You're
medium
supposed to
women.
call them women of small stature, actually.
Anyway, you're all great, and you're all great, you're all perfect. But I watched the movie and I thought it was really good. I mean, this is not the 1933 one, but it's the same story. And the bit I really resonated with the character Joe, who's played in the newest movie by Saoirse Ronan. It's not a guy, it's a girl called Joe.
Yeah, Joe is a girl.
And
Josephine, probably.
Probably, who knows these days. But she has a great speech in the latest movie where she's basically like going to her mom, and it's just like a real I just think it's a good human movie because it just kind of captures being human in such a great way, because it's her basically saying like, I know I'm doing the right thing. Like she's focusing on her art and her career and things like that, and she's like, I know I'm doing the right thing, I know where I'm meant to be, but then she's just like, but I feel so alone. Like, and that's just such a real thing that we all feel, of just like, you know, you're meant to be where what you're doing isn't bad or anything like that.
It's like Kylo Ren.
Yeah,
I know what I have to do. I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
It's a left turn, and I don't know how to respond to that, so I'm going to stop my rant. Little Women, the 1933 one, I'm sure is great. The story of Little Women is a great story. Yeah, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, lots of people say that. Thanks for sharing that, Peter.
No
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Okay, that's...
Just had to get that.
We'll do a whole other episode on
sequel propaganda.
Kylo Ren versus Joe.
Well, I have a vendetta against Kylo Ren because my brothers always say that like my celebrity lookalike is Adam Driver when he's shirtless.
Just when he's shirtless.
In
like when he looks like a square.
When he looks like a square. I'm like, all right, so rude.
I know what I have to do, but I don't know what's straight to do.
I don't understand that. You're like the least square person.
I know.
You're
it's
very
crazy.
vertical.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let's be vertical.
So okay.
All right. Little Women.
More?
Metropolis.
Oh, like once again, I don't know what the values of that movie are, but it's like in terms of art, it's an amazing.
I'd say yeah. I'd say it's like for a film that was made in 1927.
It looks incredible.
Yeah.
It's like it's an absolute monument.
It does film. Yeah. Especially like again, you can watch that one on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
And an awful lot of it is built like dug up from archives. And some of the bits that just basically says we couldn't find any of this, so it really feels like you're digging up from the past.
Yeah,
it's quite impressive what they did. Like even when I look at it, it's just like I'd be impressed. I'd be impressed if they did that today.
Yeah,
this is not Megatropolis.
No,
it's not Megalopolis.
Megalopolis.
The Francis Ford Coppola.
That film is something.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. We'll get into that at another point.
We can get into that.
Maybe you'll make the list.
Yeah. No.
Spoiler warning.
I got a spoiler warning. Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis will not be making it onto the updated.
Dang it! Sorry. We lost.
But Metropolis is incredible. I even say this is in art, but I even say that the values of Metropolis are pretty good as well.
Okay.
You'd put this in all the categories.
Sorry.
You'd put this in every category. Could you?
Not religion, because
religion.
it's based in like a very sort of futuristic, hyper kind of capitalist.
Okay. Yeah, it's what would you call
utopia.
That? Yeah, it's. Is it a utopia or is it a? Yeah.
I call it utopia.
Yeah.
But there's also dystopian elements.
Right. Yeah.
It's cool. It's a cool movie.
It is a cool movie, and if you can, it's funny with I've watched a few silent films. I find it harder to engage with them. Even though
speak up.
Yeah, I can't hear what you're saying.
What's going on?
TikTok.
What are these words doing here?
TikTok brain. Yeah. You know what is a great scene? Sorry, this is a side rant, but now I wouldn't recommend the movie, but there's a scene that is probably one of my favorite scenes. I think I talked to you about the Babylon.
Babylon. I still.
And it's the scene basically where it's the first kind of transition between silent films to talkies, and just the rigmarole that goes into the hassle of like just how everybody wasn't used to it, and it's crazy.
There's a whole someone was talking about this recently. I feel like there's a movie that everyone has forgotten, and it was a huge movie when it came out, called The Artist, which is
that's a good point.
No one talks about The Artist anymore. It steamrolled the Oscars.
It won Best Picture.
It was no one talks about it, and I want to watch it again because I think it's actually. I remember.
When did it come out?
2012, I think.
I haven't seen it, but I know it's like a French kind of revival of the silent film.
It's shot as a silent film for most of it, and then it's about him. It's about movies transitioning into the talkies, and it's kind of like a Star is Born kind of thing.
Okay,
he's the main star. She comes in as a young actress, and then when they transition over into the talkies, she becomes the big star, and he can transition over. Yeah. Amazing movie, but I'm just like I feel like people should talk about it more. I just think it's a great movie. I want to watch it again before I put my flag in that. But like everyone. Remember The Artist. It was a movie.
Yeah, remember.
The next one is Modern Times. It's a Charlie Chaplin film.
Okay.
And I think that's probably on there because of like what Charlie Chaplin did for visual cinema.
I mean, he's like
Genius.
And that movie, Modern Times, I've only seen clips of it, but like,
Yeah. Believe me, watch it. It's just like, this guy revolutionized.
you can just tell it's
Yeah.
pretty slick.
The next one is Napoleon from 1927.
Okay.
Which apparently is
Napoleon
meant to be. It was the last Napoleon film that was like held with great esteem. And I
Not
think
what's his name?
the Ridley Scott
Not
one.
the Ridley Scott
Okay,
one.
well, that's the funny thing because apparently Stanley Kubrick was trying to make Napoleon for years and never got around to it. So then Ridley Scott said, "I'll take the reign," and he made the Joaquin Phoenix one. I haven't seen it, but I heard it wasn't. You've seen it?
Yeah, I saw it. It was fine.
Like, okay.
You thought it was fine, but that seems to be the general. Like a film about Napoleon
I know.
should be epic.
Yeah, should.
fine, you know.
I mean, there was epic aspects of it for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just my lack of knowledge about Napoleon.
Hey, that's okay.
I don't think so. I think that's from like historians, like that seems to be the general consensus.
That's fair.
So,
You did good, Paddy.
Finally watched something that's not on the
but
list.
I think if you're making a historical epic though, you shouldn't have to come out of it saying I didn't know anything about it. You should be coming out of it as like I now
I
know
learned
things
so much,
about Napoleon,
And I wanted.
In fairness, I did. I learned a lot about Napoleon through the movie.
Good for you.
but you weren't blown away by it.
You weren't blown apart, some would say.
I like Joaquin Phoenix. He's kind of hit and miss.
He is very hit and miss.
And that was the bit.
I think so.
I think he was a good casting choice. Like,
He was.
prior to
He was a good
Napoleon.
casting choice.
Yeah.
The next one is Nosferatu. The 2020 or 1922 one. Again, it's just like what's like is this like? But I'm also
Like
thinking
it's
to myself,
it's revolutionary in a way, but like it's in a genre that I don't.
there's nothing Catholic about that.
Yeah. It's spooky. It's a spooky
Spooky-dooky.
movie, and once again, I feel like
Isn't it
that's
vampire?
yes,
Yeah, so
because
Nosferatu was like the German version of Dracula.
well, he was meant to like it's basically a Dracula movie, but they just didn't have the rights to Dracula, so they're just like Nosferatu.
Germanize it.
And wait, Nosferatu isn't even the name of the
Vampire?
The vampire in it. I think it's called
It's like
Count
Frankenstein.
Orlok, yeah.
Count Orlok.
Yeah.
But that's have you seen the SpongeBob joke about
No.
it? There's like a whole episode of SpongeBob where basically like it's kind of like the Halloween episode where they think they're getting hunted by this guy, and it turns out it's just like the shadow of someone holding a spatula.
Right.
So then they're like, "Who's messing with the lights?" And they just have a printout, a cutout of the vampire from it, just flicking the lights, and they're like, "Nosferatu," and it's like,
but his like face just goes like turns upside down, so it looks like he's smiling.
but he's like, it's actually like because he's a creepy character.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
But I've seen clips of that as well, because I think once again that's one where they've lost bits of it. I think it's
I watched the 1922 one, and then like a week later I went to see the new Conor Eggers one, and like I wasn't blown away by the nose. Like okay, so first of all, I wouldn't even put it on this list.
Yeah.
Like even in terms of a horror film, like there's nothing Catholic about it. It's creepy. It's a good film in terms of horror film. But even as a film itself, like I was just like I watched it and I wasn't like blown away by it. I thought there was a few like Count Orlok, particularly because it's like a 1920s film. There's something creepy and off-putting about it. But there's also another scene where it's just kind of like running around like wherever, like Zurich or whatever the city is, and he's just got a coffin under his arm, and it doesn't look scary. It just looks like he's.
Like a
bit of a,
kind of thing.
yeah.
Like I think the scariest scenes are the ones where he's just in the distance, just standing there, or the scene where the door opens and he's standing in the doorway.
And then
creepy.
and then I went to watch the new one by Robert Eggers, and I thought that have you seen that one?
No, I was going to, and I'm actually kind of glad I didn't.
So, but my problem with that is like it was creepy. He did everything he could to like modernize, but it was just so randy unnecessarily.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It's very, very.
So it just basically takes the old 1920 film and just makes it really sort of like
modern,
racy, kind of like raunchy.
Raunchy.
Yeah.
The word.
So you wouldn't put the new one on the list either.
Definitely not.
So I'm just listening to some of these now. I'm just wondering how much of this is kind of like how the Academy now has a rule where you have to watch the movies to vote on them. That actually wasn't a rule before. They were kind of that's how some movies that you look back and say like, how was that pushed? And it's like because they just like. I wonder if some of these are just like, well, that was a big, like 2001. They're just like, well, that's an important movie. We haven't really seen it, but we'll just put it on
the last
there.
one on here is The Wizard of Oz.
I mean,
right? Okay, so but like you could say, it's in terms of its art, it's like it's kind of mind blowing because it was like one of the first Technicolor films that kind of went.
Yeah, that transition,
even the transition from black and white to
it still is
color.
It still is pretty breathtaking to see. Like,
but like, I think the only reason that it's on like the Catholic list is because it's like wholesome and
Yeah.
Like good.
It's a family flick.
Good defeats evil.
Yeah, it's wholesome, but it also is, like, doesn't like contradict it. Like you wouldn't be contradicting your own values.
No,
if you
yeah.
went to see it.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so I've got an interesting question. So it's really, I think this list is interesting. I would love to know the reasoning behind these movies,
Yeah.
all of them. I would love for the Vatican to release an updated list,
Yeah.
because obviously cinema has
I mean, it
become
came out
such a
before.
staple. of-
This list came out before any of us were born.
Yeah,
Like a lot of the films on there. Like I don't think my dad would know the majority of
sure.
those films. Like I don't think most people would know the majority of those films.
yeah. So I think it would be good for the Vatican to release an updated list.
Do you think that if they were to make a more updated list, that it should involve more like mainstream films?
100%. I don't think it should be Christian films.
Well, I'm not just talking about Christian films, but like a lot of those films were also art house films.
Oh yeah.
So-
I know. Okay, I get what you mean.
I do think if you're releasing it, because that was for like, they said that was for like the bishops or something like that, but it's also probably released publicly. If you're releasing it publicly, I think you have to just be in the public's interest of like, what are they most likely to watch? Like, they're not, like, as much as it would be great for them to watch maybe more art house film, I think they should try and make it as mainstream as possible, so that's the most likely chance they're gonna watch that movie.
It's kind of tricky though to like. There's definitely like, I think between like 1995 and 2025, you could probably come up with a list. Like again, categorizing them with what religion, art, and values. You could find 15 films, but you kind of have to go digging deep for, first of all, like good quality films, because you don't want to be watching schmuck.
No, exactly. Yeah.
But also films that do hold those values quite well.
Yeah.
And especially like as it was easier to find films that held onto Christian values the further back you go, because that's what people were looking for. Within culture.
Yeah.
Whereas now, particularly like within Hollywood and particularly within the arts, people are straying from.
100%.
But I think that's why it would be good for the Vatican to release a list, because then not only... I think it would bring to light the values that are inherent in some movies.
Yeah.
So...
Like, I think right now, what could be cool is like we're at an hour, nearly and a half now. So it might be good. So if each of us were to say...
Like, one for each category?
Sure, one for each category, but like Spitfire.
Yeah.
And not necessarily go into why.
Yeah.
And it can be made like after 1995.
Yeah. So like, what would be your top three?
I have one, and then I can come back to the other two.
Okay.
And I have it to replace one of the other ones, to replace the one you were talking about, mortality. If you want a movie that's dealing with mortality, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I think that should be on it.
Yep, for sure. It's a great one.
Yeah, I think it has great values, and I think they uphold them well.
Love that one. And Eva gives out to me for putting it at 5 stars, but
it's a 5-star movie. It is a 5-star movie
for sure.
That would be that, and then religious. See, I haven't even seen The Passion, so I don't really know that one. I don't know if I can ask that one. I don't think I've seen a religious movie recently that would be fitting into there.
Okay.
That none that I can think of. Brother Francis, maybe. And then art. Oh, guys, I should have thought about this before I started speaking.
I know, you started it, so you have to.
Okay, so art, there's a few I could think of, but I'm going to say... see, the only thing that's on... Oh, no, I know exactly what I'm going to do. Field of Dreams, starring Kevin Costner, 1997, I think, something like that. Basically, it's a movie about him. It has the line in, I don't know if you've heard it, if you build it, he will come. And it's basically a movie about missionary work. And I don't know if the movie knows that, but that's what it's about. It's him. He hears this voice. He heeds the call. It's actually very akin. I might even put, like, you could put it in religious, because it actually follows very closely the story of St. Francis.
Okay.
Because it's him hearing the thing, saying, if you build it, he will come. And like St. Francis heard... Rebuild my church, and he physically rebuilt the church. This guy, I'm getting a call from my brother. He built a baseball field, and I'm just gonna have to tell him to go away for a second. He built a baseball field because he's like, I think Shoeless Joe Jackson, who's this baseball player, I think his ghost is gonna come back and play baseball, which is what happens. But then by the end of the movie, loads of things happen, and you realize that there was something deeper, and what it meant by if you build it, he will come was actually a deeper connection that the main character needed. beautiful film. I would put that on the list, and
Okay.
I think everyone should watch it. So
Okay.
I would recommend those ones. I'm gonna just take that call.
That's no
Sorry,
problem.
guys.
Will I go?
Yeah, you go.
Okay. So I think for religion, it's hard to choose this one because I don't think there's films that capture religion in its essence. I don't think that you could ever get a film that can capture religion in its essence. But we were kind of like talking about like the essence of Christianity is to like carry a cross and embrace suffering, right?
Yeah.
So I think the one that I think captured that really, and I think a lot of people are like torn about the ending for it, but I went to the cinema with Brendan to watch it, and we were both, it was very uncomfortable in the most spiritual way. I was about to say The Mission, but it's the other one. I can't remember the name of it. What?
Silence.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So I'd put that one in religion.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult film to watch.
For sure.
Even I'd say it's just as difficult to watch as The Passion, if not more difficult, because with The Passion, ultimately it's going to lead, as hard as The Passion is to watch. You know that the resurrection's coming out next. If you're watching Silence for the first time, it keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, it's tough.
It fully shows what martyrdom is, and also shows the ambiguous reality of what, because we all say, we want to die as martyrs.
Yeah.
Getting to that point towards death is a different thing.
Yeah. I think that's what I appreciate about the ending as well, is that not all of us would have the strength. Anyway, there's a lot of problems I have with it, but for the most part I do really like it.
For later time. What I choose on values, I have two choices for values.
Okay.
But I'll stick with I think I'll go with The Fall.
Great one.
Which is I recommended it to Patrick, and I think you appreciate it.
I did. I really liked it. Yeah.
You should definitely watch it. I tried to promote this film. I can go on a complete tangent about my thoughts on this film. It's one of my favorite films that I watched last year. And it was a complete bomb when it was released. But it's got some of the best cinematography. But it's also got some of the most natural acting, because essentially it's almost like an art house Princess Bride, where you've got this guy that's telling a little girl, but the little girl's acting is just it's unparalleled. And I think the reason being is because they didn't have a script between this guy that was telling the story to this little girl, so it feels unbelievably naturally. But I think the reason I wanted to put in values is because the guy that's telling this story is actually going through depression, and he's suicidal, and she essentially saves his life. And it's even a bit that you can relate to the Eucharist, because she goes into a chapel and steals unconsecrated hosts and feeds it to him, just as a real sort of I'm just bringing you food, and he's just like, are you trying to save my soul? And she's just like, what are you talking about? So it's a really, really wholesome film, but it's also really epic from the storytelling perspective.
It's a weird one. I feel like it would also fit into art.
It could be definitely filmed it. But the one I was going to choose for art is a film called Baraka, which is a non-narrative documentary that an awful lot of the shots from The Fall were inspired by.
Okay.
So it came out in 1993. It was filmed on 17mm. It looks incredible. It's eye candy. That's all it is. Yeah. But the reason I wanted to throw it into film for the Catholic bit was because there's a really beautiful scene where the majority of the film is looking at different parts of the world and just kind of capturing what it represents. And I thought to myself, if you could hypothetically, if you're talking about if you went up to an alien and said, we want to show them a piece of media that represents Earth, I showed them this film. Because it focuses on just humans bustling and everything like that. But there's a really beautiful piece where you have all these kind of different religions in what they're practicing. But obviously included in them is the Catholic faith. And so they've got this real sort of traditional incense, massive congregation coming out with all these different faiths. But I thought it was just a very powerful moment that showed what, not just our faith, but what faith means to a lot of different people. Wow. So they're my two choices. Anyway.
Good choices, yeah. For religion, for me, I've had a little bit of time to think about it. And I think I'd choose A Hidden Life.
Oh,
by
Terrence Malick.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's a really good one, and I think it's again, Terrence Malick is a bit of an interesting director as well, and not to use it's not what I feel like a lot of moviegoers are used to, but it's well worth a watch. Values, I'd probably go. I think I would have two as well, but I think I'll stick to one. I think I would choose Forrest Gump.
Okay.
Yeah. It's my favorite movie of all time, and I think It's just great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I don't know about art.
And it's
Like I'm trying to think of like
You could like
some
for
of the
art, you could
most
almost choose
cinematically
everything,
pleasing.
or you could choose anything, but you could also choose like
Yeah.
all of them would just seem arbitrary.
Yeah.
Art is an interesting category in general.
It is.
Yeah.
Like part of me wants to choose an animated, like wants to choose like a Spider-Man
Into the Spider-Verse or
across
or
the
like
Spider-Verse, or
either of them?
either of them.
Yeah.
La La Land also I
Yeah.
think would be
Yeah.
a great one because like artistically it tells a story with color. I think very well.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I think I'd also throw into art like what was it called? Spirited Away. I think maybe
Okay.
it's an interesting choice, but I think it tells a lot of like it actually has a lot of values in it because it tells about greed and kind of all these desires that we can have and how easily they can corrupt us. And I think it's beautifully animated.
It is, yeah.
And Hayao Miyazaki is a genius.
It almost feels like you could pretty much throw any
But that's it.
animated film.
Like it's
particularly.
particularly
Because especially with for the majority of animated films, like they're made for a younger audience.
Yeah.
Although most like a good quality one, adults can like
Enjoy
just
as well.
as much.
Yeah.
And in order to hold on to that wholesomeness, you have to hold on to good values in a sense.
Yeah.
So I think pretty much any like animated film, like my other one for values is going to be WALL-E.
Oh,
Okay.
Wally's so
Yeah.
good.
And I think like WALL-E's definitely my favorite Pixar film. And we were talking a little while about films that make us cry, and it's been very hard for me to actually sit down and watch a film. And I watched over the past like 18 months. I've probably watched like 400 films, and I don't think any of them have made me cry except for my rewatch of both Up and WALL-E.
Yeah.
Have you watched The Wild Robot?
I have. And I nearly got there.
I
nearly
cried.
got there.
I cried.
That one I
3
think
times.
could fit into every category.
Yeah,
It's
true.
a beautiful movie, and there's one bit in it that made me cry so much, and it's not even a line of dialogue.
Yeah.
It's literally when she's like letting her son go on migration, and she basically just goes like, "Oh," and there's so much pain in her voice, and I'm like, and it's like the pain of letting her son go, but she doesn't want him to.
Yeah.
I bawled like a baby, and my brother, like after the movie, turns to me and he's like, "What do you think?" I'm just like sobbing.
Yeah.
Like that movie is beautiful.
It's a great one.
That's a 5-star movie. For
My
me.
other values one is Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Secret Life of Walter Mitty is a great movie, and that could be art as well.
That could be art
That's
as well, for sure.
beautiful. It's a beautiful movie to look at.
Yeah. Anyway,
Wow, guys,
this has been a fun one.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's been a long one. This might be one of the longest episodes we've done.
Guys, we're sorry we didn't see most
Yeah.
of the movies.
Yeah,
on this
sorry.
list.
Will we do a follow up? Probably not.
I think.
Do I want to watch most of those?
No, but I think we could come back with not a full list, maybe with like 3 movies each for each category.
Go into more detail.
That we could be like, or we can do a replacement one of like, get this one out, put this one in instead.
Let's modernize this. Yeah.
We could do something like that, or we could just talk about something completely different.
Yeah.
That's the joy
Who
of
knows?
consistently inconsistent.
It's so consistently in its inconsistencies.
Yeah, no one knows.
I mean, there's been several times throughout that podcast where we say that's a rant for another day. I think each one of us has said that's a rant for another day.
Yeah.
At least one point.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean, Peter and I still have part 2 to
part
come
2
of storytelling.
to do.
Okay.
Yeah, which could happen one day.
Someday, maybe, hopefully.
That's the whole, that's the story for another day, as they
But
say.
listeners, viewers, thank you so much for joining us in this episode.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter and Declan, for being here.
Thank you for having us.
It's been great having ye. We're about to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Speaking of storytelling.
Speaking of art.
Speaking of
values.
Declan,
behave yourself.
It's role playing, guys. It's called that for a reason.
we're having a good campaign.
We're having fun.
And I think that's another project I'd like to do later at some point, is do a Dungeons & Dragons series.
YouTube channel.
I think would be amazing.
It would be unreal.
Yeah, but
It's another day, another
that now.
dollar. Yeah.
Pardon?
What? Yeah. Oh my gosh, they'll probably be arriving soon.
Guys, we need to go. Yeah, Declan needs to eat.
I do.
He almost ate my arm like 5 times.
True.
Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining,
and,
guys.
Don't forget to check your privilege.
Check your privilege.
I guess check your privilege.
Thank you. All right,
Peace
farewell. Funky Rainbow. No, that's not what it was. You're singing Africa.